Happy New Year, everyone! It is finally 2025, and why not start off the year with a book versus movie video? The second movie to the series, My Fault by Mercedes Run, came out on Prime on December 26th. And when I tell you guys, I had high expectations for this movie as I am currently finishing up the series. So we will be doing today a true or false game as I tell you the differences between the movie and the book, at least the ones I found. I'll let you guess and see if you get it right. I want to start by saying that this is my personal opinion about the series. I am currently finishing up the books and I finished book 2 right after I watched the movie. So I know everything that went down in the books and how it affected the movie, or if the director of the movie was interested in keeping any of the facts that the writer herself wrote. I have already done a review video of the first movie, My Fault or Culpa Mía. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure to do so. But today we're going to talk about a few things that I did found that the movie did not have or did not want to include compared to the book. As you guys remember, the first movie ended with the misfortune of the death of Noah's father after her kidnapping. And we see that in the book as well. And after that part, Noah and Nick are trying to, stay together and figure it out where they go from here. The movie itself doesn't give a whole lot of details about what happened in between, which is why there is a book. I mean, the movie is based on the book. So Nick was in San Francisco for quite some time. He's finishing law school and he's doing a lot at his dad's firm. So he's been having to go back and forth between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and that has been putting a lot of a strain in the relationship between him and Noah. Now, this is not said in the movie, not even really mentioned. We see Nick as a more responsible adult, and we see him showing up at Noah's birthday party, which is her 18th birthday. Here is the first true or false question. At the beginning of the second movie, we see Nick getting out of the vehicle, Noah running up to him, hugging, and they immediately went into a spice scene right there in some place. I can't really know because they were in the front and some way somehow they moved somewhere else. What it looks like that, like the backyard. Now, the question is, was this true? Did they have, I don't want to say the word, guys. Did they have intimacy right there in the backyard? True or false? Well, I would say false because it wasn't quite that way. Nick was not supposed to appear at Noah's 18th birthday because he was in San Francisco. He showed up, he had an open bar near the pool, according to the book, and that's when he found her. And they went into this house, like a storage house in the backyard away from the party, and they went in there and had a little moment, if you know what I mean. I felt like the beginning of the movie was pretty rushed and there wasn't a lot of time for everything that they were putting in there. I feel like there was no chemistry at the beginning with the actress, like the first movie. It was kind of weird. I felt off because I've read the book. So the second true or false question, did Nick and Noah spend the summer together? They did not. They did not spend summer together. And this is one of the most important details in the book, and they completely left this out in the movie. Noah's mother decides to surprise them for a trip to Europe. Now, New York only. They traveled to New York, and from New York, they traveled to Europe. And they literally spent the entire summer over there. And this was a big issue because Nick was planning to spend the summer with Noah. And well, we know that Noah's mom was not approving of their relationship, and neither was Nick's father. So there was a lot of issues going around Nick and Noah, and that cost the relationship. Half of the second book is spent with Noah overseas. And Nick is trying to get his life together and not lose his mind because Noah is not there. Noah accepted the trip. She did not want to go, but she loves her mother. And she's like, how could I abandon my mother now? I mean, I want to go to Europe anyway. So Nick wasn't really understanding on that part. There was a lot of back and forth between them, between Rafaela, which is Noah's mother, and as well as the dad. And there was it felt like a war zone in the book constantly because they kept being shut at. They were just trying to be happy, and I'm like, why don't you just let them be happy? Like, what's going on? In this situation, 3 months overseas, it was 2 days before Noah's return that Lion visited Nick at his apartment and told him about a drop that was going down. As we saw in the movie, Lion was complaining about money all of the time because he's with Jenna and Jenna has money, and Jenna doesn't really care about money itself. She's like, I just want you. So Lion was like, and I want to give you the world, and I don't have the world, so let me go get it. So he was trying to find money to be able to support the life that, quote unquote, Jenna deserved according to the book. Jenna didn't care about any of those things. So Lion was desperate. His brother had just gotten out of prison, and the brother was pushing him to go back to that life. And Nick is like, I don't want anything to do with that life. I already told Noah I'm out. And so Lion basically kept putting him back in, and he's like, I don't want anything to do with that. So Lion goes to Nick, talks to him about the drop, and Nick goes crazy. He's like, are you for real? Like, we talked about this. So they get into this huge fight. Lion is like, I can't go alone. If I go alone, you know what's going to happen. They were getting into enemy's territory. As you remember in the first book and in the first movie, it was all about territories and gangs, and you know, they had the red and the blue and the white bandanas. Nick does not want anything to do with this, but he's like, you know what, Lion, I'm gonna do it for you, but this is sex. So Lion was like, yeah, I promise, gonna be it. So he's like, okay, bet. So day before Noah arrives back to LA, yeah, think about this. Nick and Noah hadn't seen each other for 3 months. They've been talking on the phone, and that, okay, I had a plane going by. They were talking on the phone. They had little arguments here and there because they missed each other. And Nick, as you know, is very controlling. So he was like, where you at? What you been doing? Who you been with? You know, and so Noah's like, I'm just trying to live my life. Like, I miss you, but I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to have the summer that I want to have. And Nick was like, I understand. He wasn't understanding. The day before Noah arrives, Lion goes to make the drop, and Nick goes with him. But Nick is like, you're gonna go in by yourself. I'm gonna wait for you in the car. So he goes into this bar, which is what we see in the second movie. But how wrong were they? Noah wasn't even there, guys. Noah did not go to the bar, okay, to accompany Nick. That did not happen. She wasn't even in the country. So 30 minutes passed, and he started to get worried because Lion's taking too long. And it should have been a drop and then skedaddle. But that did not happen. So Nick is like, shoot, I gotta get out of this car. He goes in, and he finds them beating up Lion. And he's like, yo, what's going on? And he's like, you're not supposed to be selling this in my turf. So what are you guys doing here? They get into an argument. Nick gets beat up. Both of them, Lion and Nick, get beat up. So now he's like, how am I going to explain this to Noah? So he misses the pickup for Noah at the airport the next day, and Noah is like, he was supposed to be here, he wouldn't miss it. So Nick lies and says, hey, I can't make it. He hates himself. I'm sorry. I'll see you in a few days. And she's like, a few days? No. She drove to his apartment, by the way. She drove to his apartment and finds him beat up. They get into this huge argument because Nick had already promised to Noah that they were done with that life. And this is a lot of the details that the movie did not have. So I will say this now. The movie is 5% true based on the book. One of the most important details that I believe should have been included was Noah's trauma after her father's death. So this is not even mentioned. I'm sorry. This is mentioned one time, and I don't even know why it was mentioned because we didn't see anything indicating that Noah was struggling with moving on after her father's death. And in the book, it emphasizes heavily on her trauma. She's having nightmares, she can't sleep, she barely eats, and she keeps feeling guilty because she believes that she caused the death of her father. Some way, somehow, she says, he loved me anyway. Hold on, let me just put this on. Okay, I had to mute my mic. I have a lot of planes going by my apartment today. So why is this information important? Because Noah found peace being with Nick, sleeping in his bed, being around him. She felt safe. And we didn't see any of this. We saw nothing, actually, in the movie. I was furious because how can you leave that out? I love this part, especially about the nightmares. It reminded me of Twilight. In the second movie of Twilight, that she's having nightmares and the only person she doesn't have nightmares with is Edward. I was like, oh, that's so cute. So she's having nightmares. She's like, Nick is the only person that I don't have nightmares with. The only other person that knew about her nightmares besides Noah was her mother. And that's because she spent 3 months in Europe with her. I wish that the movie would have taken a book side on a lot of things, especially on Noah's trauma, because first, her father put a gun in her head, and then she saw her father get shot in front of her. So she got PTSD, she has anxiety, she got nightmares, she got everything. So none of this was put in the movie. It was more based on third wheeling and based on destroying the relationship, which it really is. The book is still about that, but so much less. They were focusing on the relationship itself, not on thirds or seconds or everybody that came into that book and movie. No, it wasn't like that. In the movie, Noah decides to ask or say to Nick that they can live together. This will be a true or false question. Did Noah ask Nick to live together? It is false. I would tell you that if you don't know, Nick is 22. Noah is 18. By the way, guys, I had the privilege of watching this movie in Spanish, which is, the language that was made. And so in our Spanish countries, this is normal. 18 years old is considered an adult, like if you were 21 in the States. So I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. I don't know if this book was originally written in Spanish, probably because the name of the author is Mercedes Ron, and it sounds like a Spanish name. I haven't dived into her, but I will do the research and I can let you guys know about that when I do the last review, which will be based on the third book. Nick is 22 years old. Noah is 18. Noah is not thinking about living together. Nick is. Nick was the one who brought up the idea to Noah to live together because they spend so much time apart. She's still living with her mother at the house. In the movie, that Noah went to the dorms like almost right away, and it wasn't like that. Nick asked Noah to live together because of that, because of all the conflict they were getting from the parents, and they were being bombarded by everyone. So Nick is like, I can't live without you. I want to wake up with you every day. Sorry. I want to wake up with you every day. I want you with me. I want to protect you. I want to be there. So Noah is like, everything is moving so fast and I can't handle it. And I get it because she's 18. Noah is trying to figure it out who she is outside her father. In the movie, they put Nick to be freaking out about that question. Nick is madly in love with Noah. It's not like in the movie. He is madly in love. Like, I don't think you guys understand. He is crazy for her. However, she's like, I think it's too soon. I don't think we should do this. But she didn't actually say those words. She was like, let me think about it and I'll let you know. Eventually, Nick and Noah do decide to move in together, and things went sideways after that. Let's talk about the new characters that were brought in. So let's talk about Sophia. So Sophia, just like in the movie, she's gorgeous, but Nick doesn't exactly look at her. Nick doesn't want anything to do with her in the book. Nick doesn't even look her way. In the movie, they kind of made it seem like they had this deep relationship, like this deep friendship, like it was haha, you know, like it was funny and it was just chill. And it wasn't really like that. Nick didn't really want her around. So let's talk about the big race. This was one of my favorite chapters in the book because of everything that goes down. In the movie, we see that Nick and Lion are trying to win this race, okay? And they don't want to tell Jenna or Noah about what's going down. However, a gala and the race was going at the same time. It was like the same day. It wasn't, guys. This is false. It was not. The gala was like way later, and the race was just that. So Nick told Noah to have a little date with him, and then he basically stood her up. So Noah found out because of Jenna what was going down, and she went to the race anyway. True or false? In the movie, we see that Noah and Jenna are in the same car. So Noah decides that she wants to race. But just like the movie, it was put, Lion is the one that keeps dragging Nick into this life. So true or false was Noah racing next to Nick and Lion, and did Jenna join her? This is false. This is incorrect. In the book, Jenna is watching from the sidelines. Noah, however, gets into this argument. Nick is like, you better go. And she's like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. So she jumps into his car. He is furious. And he's like, I don't want you here. You shouldn't even be here. They have a huge argument. But just like in the movie, Lion ends up winning along with his brother. We know that Noah is having nightmares, but Nick doesn't know this yet. There's a day that Noah is left in her house by herself. Nick is not around, and he's been calling Noah, and Noah doesn't respond. She fell asleep. He gets to the house, and the house is completely dark. There's nobody in it, or at least it looks like no one's in it. So he decides to check it out because Noah's car is in the driveway. Gets in, starts looking around, and he hears screaming. He freaks out, and he starts rushing upstairs. When he gets there, it's coming from her bedroom, so he's thinking the worst. When he opens the door, he finds her with her eyes closed and screaming. Her fists were closed in so hard that she was bleeding from her palms. So he's trying to get her out of the nightmare because she is asleep and doesn't realize it. So this is the first time that Nick sees that, you know, the nightmares that Noah has been having, and he's like, what the He starts questioning her. When did this started? You never talked to me about this. So Noah doesn't want to talk about her nightmares. She believes that talking about it would just make it worse. And Nick doesn't know how to help her. She doesn't talk. And he's like, you know what? It would be cool if you see someone about it. If you talk to a therapist. And she's like, I'm not going to see no shrink. When they're talking, they hear someone in the house. But it doesn't sound like the parents. There are 3 men in the house. He decides to tell her to go out the window. And out of her window, there's this big tree. So he's like, you're going to climb out and climb on the tree and then get yourself down. And Noah's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going anywhere without you. So that's exactly what they do. They do manage to escape. And they call the police. They come, the guys are there, and they get arrested. This piece of information is very important. Fast forward to a couple days later. In the movie, we see that Noah and Annabelle meet in secret. We know that Nick doesn't like her mother very much. Nick is like, don't you ever talk to my mother, Noah. I'm telling you right now. Noah's like, okay, I got you. I won't do it. But she kind of gets extorted by Annabelle. Annabelle's like, I'll tell you what, if you meet me, because nobody wants to talk to me. So if you meet me, I will let Nick have his little sister for an entire week. Annabelle was a piece of work. Nick wasn't completely crazy about that part. But she was fighting for something, and we just didn't know what it was. In the movie, Annabelle visits the house with the intention of taking a piece of DNA from Nick's father. The big gala, or gala. I think someone told me that's how you say gala. We say gala in Spanish. So Fast forward to the party. A lot of important people there. In the movie, there was a lot of incorrect details. Breer, she wasn't really important to the story, okay? I feel like that I believe she was like a filler. And they made it look like it was a bigger deal than it really was. I believe, based on the book, she doesn't really want a friendship with Noah. I believe she wanted to destroy the relationship, just like it happened in the movie. Something that was wrongly put in the movie was as if Breer and Annabelle were together in a conspiracy to ruin their lives. And it wasn't like that. They didn't even know each other. Breer is just there to make Nick uncomfortable. And Jenna didn't know anything about Breer either, because Breer and Nick met through college. They had a fling that wasn't going anywhere. She ended up pregnant. And then the father, Nick's father, not the grandfather, Nick's father decides to tell this girl, hey, my son ain't got nothing to offer you, so I suggest you go ahead and get an abortion. And that's how those things went down. Everything else that did happen in the gala, as far as facts, you know, like the true reason why Annabelle was the way she was, we made her look that she was this evil person, and at the end she turned out to be just a victim. And the true villains of the story ended up being Nick's father and Noah's mother. Nick, in his rage after finding out that, you know, Noah met his mother without his consent, everything that came out about his little sister, it exploded. Nick was outraged. And when I tell you guys, I felt for him because he has trust issues and we know that. And it's not like he hadn't talked about it before. So everything that went down affected him so much. I connected and I empathized with him. Enraged, he went and kissed Sophia. What we don't know is that he hated every minute, every second, because it wasn't minutes, every second of that kiss. And he describes it as feeling empty and cold. He was trying to hurt Noah because he felt hurt, and he says it in the book. He's in a dark place. He does this. Sophia pushes him away and tells him, what the heck are you doing? He leaves. Noah never saw this kiss, ever. She wasn't even around when that happened because everything was so fast. You know, he heard the news. Yeah, everybody was lying to him. He felt stabbed in the back. He ran out of the room. The music, the people dancing, it was loud. And then he saw Sophia, and that was the first thing that he thought was okay to do. And he regretted it the minute it happened. He ran away from the party, got in his car with Steve. I don't know why they put lion, but I mean, I don't mind about that detail. Because just like the movie, he turns around. While he's turning around, in the book, Breer and Noah meet. And Breer tells Noah, I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you. He did the same thing to me. And so Noah was like, he did what? What are you talking about? I'm crying because my parents are hypocrites over there. And you're telling me that Nick did what? And so Breer was like, I'm sorry. I thought you knew. He left with Sophia. They kissed. And Noah loses it. She runs out, gets in a car, and goes back to her dorm. And this is where things get weird. In the movie, we see that Noah is heartbroken, just thinking, you know, that he left and did something that would hurt her even more. In the book, is sort of like that. She feels heartbroken. She goes back to the dorm. She doesn't have the keys and goes to Michael. I hate Michael. I hated this character. He was manipulative and creepy. And in the movie, he looks creepy. He appeared in like maybe a couple of chapters at the end of the book, because the chapters at the end, like when the book is ending, are shorter. So I would say, I don't know, I would say like 5 chapters. Like he wasn't like really important to the story until that moment. And this is something that I found interesting. When Noah goes to him, she's crying. She found comfort in Michael because they were doing therapy for quite some time. Not like it happened in the movie where they were like friends. Noah had trusted the psychologist of the school to help her with what she was going through. And so the first person or the second person that she thought of in that moment was him, and she went to him for comfort. And he took advantage of that, knowing exactly what she was going through. He had been trying to get rid of Nick and for Noah to dump him for a while. And there's something that happens in the book. I don't know if the third book there will be any indication of what I'm thinking, but there's a moment that Noah falls asleep, wakes up, and he brings her tea to calm her nerves and to help her, with her throat, because she's been crying for like an hour or two. Right after she drinks this tea, she explains that things change. It's like she wasn't there. She says that she felt like she was unconnected from what was happening, and she had zero control over it, and so she blacks out. That sounds like, assault. I don't know if that's exactly what they were trying to hint at. So she wakes up like 4 hours later, and she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know what happened. And then she goes and starts throwing up like crazy. So to me, it wasn't said with those words, but it sounds like assault. She didn't say no, but it sounds like someone took advantage of her either way, because the psychologist of the school knew what was going on, and it clearly shows that he had those intentions. So when she gets up, all she can think about is running out of there. She runs out in a t-shirt and a sweater, and she's like, I'm gonna just burn it all later. It's pouring rain, it's 5 a.m. and when she gets to her part of the campus, she sees Nick. She doesn't know how to react. Nick goes and apologizes and tells her it was a stupid kiss, that nothing happened, and that's when she realized that she's been lied to by Breer. And she was like, you didn't sleep with her? And he's like, no, I've never slept with anyone else but you since we've been together. And so Noah starts to freak out. She starts to panic. When I tell you guys, this chapter, I cried. I cried a lot, because they don't have a fight in the rain. They go inside, and Nick has already felt forgiven by what he did. But Noah is in shock. She's like, I gotta tell you something. And Nick is like, what's going on? So Noah doesn't know how to explain to Nick what just happened. And she's trying, and at that moment, Michael calls her. And Nick looks at her and asks her, why is he calling you at this hour? And Noah's like, I don't know how, like, she, in her mind, she's like, I don't know how to say this. Like, I'm gonna break his heart. I know that at that moment, she knew she messed up and there was no going back. So he figures it out. And he says, please tell me that this is not what I'm thinking. Please tell me that you did not do this. And she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, are you wearing his t-shirt? And things go bad. They start screaming at each other. He doesn't know what to do with himself. She can only say, I'm sorry. And then he takes off. He runs out. And she's like, I cannot let a relationship to end like this. So she goes after him and calls his name. And he is wrecked. He's crying. The rain is still pouring. And he can't believe that the love of his life just broke his heart. And this scene broke my heart. Nick was shattered. He was broken. He didn't know what to do. It's like his entire world fell apart, and she was the only person that could do that to him. And he says that in the book, the only person that can make me be away from Noah is Noah. The book basically ends with them breaking up. So my final review of the movie is 1 out of 10 for me. I was so excited for this movie. I was looking forward to it, and the fact that they did not follow most of the things in the book completely ruined the movie. This book has sold over 500,000 copies already. And if the book was not a success, it would not be a bestseller. So directors of movies, why are you guys changing everything about a book? You have the power to bring a book to life. Literally, you put characters that we picture in our minds. If the movie is called like the book, why not leave it as it is? There are certain details that I don't really care about, but when you completely change the story, it's very hard to move forward. A 1 out of 10 for me. The first movie was my favorite. Second movie was a complete tragedy, and I hope they just don't make a third, because if they're gonna do this, I prefer to just finish my books. The third movie is called Our Fault, and I have already started on it. I was really excited to see how they would get back together, because I hope I have a happy ending with this book, okay? Because I was destroyed with the second. Did you like Your Fault or Culpa Tuya? To me, it was a complete disaster. As an independent movie, and if you're someone who has never read the books, go ahead. I think you'll like it. My husband, who has not read the books and sat with me to watch the second movie, he'd seen the first one and he loved the first one. He loved the action and the car racing. He's like, I don't know, of course. But for the second one, he was like, what was this? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it was. So 1 out of 10. I'm so sorry. I recommend the book 1000%. It's way better, and it has so much more excitement and details in it. So if you stuck around till the end, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, and I hope you guys enjoy 2025.